Thomas. It's up for grabs now.
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira.
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right. What a way to get it.
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Champions.
Shaky start, Shaheen. What are you doing to me? I can still hear it in the background. What are you doing?
No, it's not me.
Right. Okay. You done? Yeah.
That's what he said in his trial.
Welcome back, Shaheen. He's trying to sabotage me again. This guy, honestly. Anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, I'm really excited. So let's get this show moving, right? So I'm excited for a number of reasons. But firstly, let's get the real excitement out of the way. Sorry, Harry. I know you thought it was going to be about you, but this is about Pablo because he disappeared for a couple of, I don't know where he went for a couple of weeks. Lee can vouch for me. He shaved his head. We had a little bit of banter about his head. Then he disappeared. He's let his hair grow back out. He told me some sob story that he couldn't be around. And all of a sudden, his hair's grown back and he's back. So due to massive demand, Pablo Escobar has returned, aka Shaheen. How you doing, bro?
Got the photo.
Yeah. Let's do it, Harry. Yeah, we'll bring you in.
Want to see what
there you go. There's Shaheen. Which one is Pablo Escobar and which one is Shaheen, Harry? I will let you decide that one.
Do you know what, mate? I better grab my glasses and have a proper close-up look, I think. But I'm not sure.
It's a close call, isn't it? It's a close call.
Who said that's what Shaheen does in the bathroom? Stop that. Anyway. And then, even more big news. I've been trying to get this guy on for ages. He's been typically a Greek diva. I know what they're like. You've got to massage their egos. My children are half Greek, so I can say these things. Yeah, and I finally got him, Harry Symeou. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. And I assure you, man, it's just work's been mad, man, and you know what it's like, man. And when you got a little one as well, any spare time you get is just automatically eaten up. It's tough, but delighted to be here.
Shaheen, bathroom gag, then we could have gone again, but I won't. So let's just leave it there. But no, I'm so happy to have you on, man, and I'm looking forward to this. And Lee, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good. Big week coming up starting tomorrow. Massive week. Nerves are starting to kick in, I think, really. I think they would start be kicking in now about the North London derby, but this game in front of it is just as big as, if not bigger.
And it's some serious stuff going on. So look, we're going to sort of discuss a few things, and I'm so glad we got Harry on because obviously he could pronounce all those difficult long Greek names that we can't do, the Papadopouloses of this world and all of that. But also, more importantly, his technical knowledge on Premier League, and I'm sure he watches a lot of Greek football. And I know that I watched an interview of his earlier on today as well, so we'll touch on that. So, guys, do we really want to discuss what happened with Burnley? I mean, I do want to briefly touch on it. So if you don't mind, because there's a few statistics that I want to throw out here. But the Burnley game, disappointing. I know we've all talked about it. We've all seen it. Very, very quickly. Shaheen, I haven't heard what your thoughts on the Burnley game was. So starting with you. Thoughts?
I think basically for that game, we've got nobody to blame but ourselves. That was definitely a penalty, but you can't play a football game hoping for these decisions. You've got to finish your chances. And that's, for me, it ends there. If we finished our chances, Saka and Aubameyang, if they finished those chances, we wouldn't have talked about this penalty decision as much. It would have been irrelevant. It would have been just one of those things that VAR gets wrong. But because we didn't finish our chances, and this has been, unfortunately, a bit of a routine thing with Arsenal, where we're dominating things, but we're not finishing teams off, and that this is what happens. There's just one thing I want to discuss with you, and obviously with the guys left.
Okay.
This thing, was it Xhaka or Leno's fault for the goal? Right? So yeah. I have my view on it. At the end of it, I'll either know nothing about football or I'm right, because I've seen a lot of people coming out with saying, oh, it was Xhaka. Look, Xhaka fucked up, and he knows that. Right? But my point is this, and I've prepared these from before, so I'm going to put it on the screen. It might cover some of the screen, so I apologize, guys.
You've come prepared for this as well. Another thing you haven't told me
about. My analysis on it.
He's got a backup.
He's going to be a Sky Sport thing, Lee. You wait for this. Hold on, let me see.
I'm waiting.
Right. So this is the first one. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Right. So my point is this, right? Leno's got the ball. right? He can see somebody's coming to close Xhaka down.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, the first thing is Xhaka can't see what's behind him, but you can. So just kick the ball away. And there's two guys already in your 6 yards box. So if Xhaka loses it or anything, it's in. Right? So for me, this is the first mistake. Leno should have cleared this ball away. The second one is here. Right? So Xhaka has got the ball now. So what he should do, he should just play it maybe on the ground between these guys to David Luiz, who's not in the picture. A lot of people are saying he should have played it back to Leno. But if you look at Leno's position in here, he's not in any shape, or his body is not telling Xhaka, you can play it back to me. He's just standing there. And also, if Xhaka plays it back to Leno, by the time he tries to control it and then kick it away, possibly the guy who was closing Xhaka is going to carry on running and close Leno down as well. So for me, this goes back to Leno putting Xhaka under pressure, because I've always been told, and obviously you can back me up on this or not, Lee. Every time you want to play a pass to someone, you've got to think about the guy's move as well. You can't just pass the ball to somebody and that's it, you're done. You've got to, you can't pass the ball to somebody who's marked or in a bad position. And I think this is what happened here. So I saw a lot of people talking about this, and that's my view on it. So
I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad you brought this up. I know what my opinion is, but I want to hear the two guys below me first on this, because
just to finish. Essentially, this is not Xhaka's mistake to start with. Xhaka was put on a difficult place, and obviously he's fucked up. I think he knows that. And there's no need to go.
That's how they want him to play, though. That's how they want them to play. Isn't it Harry Lee?
Sometimes, Lev, if you were a keeper and you see Xhaka is being closed down, two guys on your 6 yard box already, just clear it. Sometimes you just got to clear it.
Yeah.
All right. Harry?
I would say that it's a bit of both. If you go back to that first screenshot that you brought up, Shaheen, I think for me, in that situation, what's happening there is, and I'm not, look, Granit Xhaka made a mess of it, right? He's got an opportunity to put it out for a corner. He should play the pass across to David Luiz, because I always defend Xhaka against all the trolls.
Do this, Lee. You said it as well. Like, this is great.
But listen, the reality is,
let's go fishing. Come on, let's go fishing.
The reality is that they're both to blame in some part. So going back to that first screenshot, the problem is there that
you want to put it back up?
Yeah, put it back up. Put it back up. Yeah. So that first screenshot where Leno's got the ball here, right? Granit Xhaka's dropping deep from the midfield to get into a position where he can receive the ball. Granit Xhaka can't stop moving, right? Because he's being closed down. So he has to keep moving. Yeah. And because Leno just delays that pass, the longer he delays that pass, the closer Granit Xhaka's getting to him and the less angle he has to then play the ball out to the right-hand side. So part of the problem here is the delay in the pass. I genuinely think that, because in Xhaka's instance there, on the edge of the box, he's jogging back towards his own goal. He can't just stop, because then Vidra comes up his backside. So he has to keep moving. And by moving, he's coming closer and closer and closer to Leno. And that angle to David Luiz, based on Chris Wood's position, is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So, Xhaka still has to deal with it better. I'm not taking all of the blame away from him. I don't want it to be taken like that. But Leno is partly to blame here as well. And I always think when I see situations like this, there was a quote from Jens Lehmann years ago, but it always sticks in my mind. And it's when we're talking about playing out from the back, Jens Lehmann said, you play the circumstances. You don't let the circumstances play you. And Bernd Leno has been a robot there. And Granit Xhaka has been a robot there, because what they've done is they've turned up on a match day, and in the whole, what they're doing in training, which is trying to play the ball out from the back, they've just automatically gone to default and done what they've been trying to do in training. But you can't do that in a game situation. Sometimes a bit of common sense needs to come in. If I'm Granit Xhaka and I receive that ball there, I'm not even trying to play it across the box. You know what I'm doing? I'm putting it out for a corner, and I'm blasting Bernd Leno for giving me that ball there. That's what I would be doing.
Yeah, okay. I 100% agree. We agree on this, Harry, because I see a lot of people going hard on Xhaka, not Leno, or going hard on Leno, not Xhaka. And I agree with you. I think it's a bit of both, as I just put down on the pictures. So Leno shouldn't have played that ball. He did. And then Xhaka obviously made a mess of it, which We know
There's a
what happened.
Xhaka agenda, though, ain't there? It's been there from the day. No, there is. Cedric a few weeks ago gave the ball away and cost us a goal at Aston Villa. Nobody's talking about that anymore. Danny Ceballos almost single-handedly got us dumped out of the Europa League with a stupid header back when he even glanced over his shoulder and saw the attacker chasing the goalkeeper back. So for me, there's been so many individual errors from so many different players, but when it's Granit Xhaka, it's just treated differently, isn't it?
Yeah. You know what? I'm not biggest fan of Granit Xhaka. I think he's improved a lot. He's put in some very good performances lately. But the fact I can see where you're coming from, because nobody's talking about Aubameyang miss, Saka miss, none of this. It's all about Xhaka fucking up. So yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
Lee,
go on, mate.
Can we have? Sorry, Harry. Oh, you'll have plenty of time to say whatever you want, bro.
Listen,
Trust me. Lee,
you can. 10 years ago, it's Leno's fault. I think, but football's changed. You know what I mean? It's not like it was back in when I played and all that. There's no way. I was always told, never play across your box. Never, ever. Under no circumstances ever do that. All of a sudden now it's something you can do. So from that point there, when that goes all wrong, and if you put that clip up, it's nothing to do with that clip, in my opinion. It's Granit Xhaka's first touch lets him down. Right now, I think if he plays that at the Emirates, I think he's fine. But and I'm not making excuses for it. That pitch weren't the greatest, and maybe because of that, the touch isn't as good as it should be. His first touch puts him in all sorts of pressure, because what it does is it narrows the angle. If he plays it first time, he can put it across to David Luiz and all that. I get that. And if I was playing there and that ball's coming for that ball for Granit Xhaka is on his weaker foot, right? So if I was playing on the other side, I'll be a little bit more hesitant and I would want another touch. Don't matter whether you're a professional footballer or not, because I'm going to be confident about putting that across the goal with my wrong foot. So what Granit Xhaka has done is if that was on the other side, Granit Xhaka would have smashed that left-footed. So put it the other way. If that was coming onto me, because I'm right-footed, I'd have smashed that across first time. If I was on the other side, I would have had the touch. So Granit Xhaka's on the wrong side to do that pass. If Partey was doing that pass, it was just gone out there straight away, because it's his stronger foot. So he's had the touch, it's completely gone wrong, and it's now cut the angle out completely. And this is where it's not to do with Leno, it's to do with Granit Xhaka. It's now a decision. What do I do? The decision is what Harry said was to smash it out for a corner, a goal kick, a throw on or whatever, and go, I take the risk. It wasn't worth doing it. And his mistake is he tries to play it and we get done. And I think at the end of the day, Granit Xhaka's held his hands up to it. If you want to be like a couple of years ago or whatever, you can look at the situation. And I think at some point there, you look at it, and Leno's probably looking at it and he's thought, well, if he plays it first time, there's no problem. But there is also a part on Leno when he can say, hold on a minute, this is his weaker foot. Do I really want to put him in that position? And when you're a professional footballer, one of the biggest things is touch and go about ability. It's decision making. A professional footballer has 5 decisions in a game. He gets 4 of them right. A semi-professional player gets 3 of them right. A player on a Sunday morning gets 1 or 2. You know what I mean? That's how close it is. So his decision making there was poor. And that's how it goes. And I think at the end of the day, Granit Xhaka is big enough to hold his hands up and go there. Where it goes into the thing of what you say about Granit Xhaka now is it's all his fault. Everything's on. Out comes the 8 mistakes that he's made since that and the goals and that. No one's talking about the decent game that he had before that. And to be honest, I didn't think he had a bad game in the game as well. But ultimately, his mistake has cost us the game, and that is football. I'm afraid it doesn't matter about the referee making a mistake. The players missing. Listen, I've played in football. We've all played football when the goal scorer misses 2 chances, and then you've had to dig in and make tackles, whatever. And then in the last minute he nicks one from a yard, and he go, oh, he's the hero again, like, you know what I mean? You feel like wanting to kick him, like, you know what I mean? He's your own teammate. That is what it is. A forward can make mistakes, miss chances, get away with them. A goalkeeper doesn't. The one thing that I would say about Granit Xhaka, which is poor, and I know that Harry can't defend it, is 8 goal-scoring opportunities he's cost from midfield. Now that ain't, you know, if it was a defender, you can understand that. So I think there's a weakness in his game, whether it's like positioning or decision making, that he has to improve on, and he's not done that. You know, you have a look at the goal the week before against Leicester. He's got the ball. The option was really play it into Willian or play it down the line behind the defence. Risk assessment. He should have done that, but he doesn't. And listen, in his defence there, 3 or 4 players should have got him out of that, but they didn't. So there's a little bit of both on it, and but ultimately that comes down to Granit Xhaka. I think Leno, you have to look at it from his point of view. Whether you think he's a robot or not, that's what he's doing. Now, he put the same sort of ball into Thomas Partey. Partey turns, gives it the OIs, turns, plays a lovely 1-2 with Granit Xhaka. We go through the lines and score. But also the ultimate thing is, and this is a big thing for me, when people go, oh, that's how we're taught to play. Is it? Yeah, I think you are, to score goal. We're 1-0 up, guys. Do we have to go looking for another? Do we have to take risks to get another goal? No, we don't. So I think there is a little bit of that involved as well. If it's 0-0 and we're playing like we did and we make that chance and we get that, we score for it, but we're 1-0 up. We don't have to take risks. So I think there's a little bit of decision making, but ultimately it comes down to Granit Xhaka.
See, I'm with Lee on this one. Very quickly, I don't want to labour this point too much because the Burnley game was a while back. We've got more important games coming up now. But Shaheen, can you just bring the first clip back up again? This is where I'm with Lee, and also where I'm with Lee is it's not just this like this one mistake. There's been several throughout the season. So as you can see, when Leno's got the ball there, you can see Luiz is clearly free for a first time ball. Clearly, right? If he just as that ball rolls to him, if he just puts it out to Luiz, there's no issues. That's where he goes wrong is exactly what Lee says, is that first touch. Maybe that dry pitch not being watered might have had something to do with his decision, but then once you do that, you've got to kick it out. It is decision making. And where I sort of disagree with Harry a little bit with regards to Xhaka, although his performances have been brilliant, like far better these last 4 or 5 games that I've seen him in, I think he is prone to making that one crucial mistake. That ball you mentioned, Lee, against Leicester, he not only gave the ball away, but then he went for that tackle and missed that as well, if you saw it. He didn't take the guy out. I think it was Tielemans, wasn't it? And Tielemans went on, and then there was a whole load of catalogue of errors. By the time Tielemans got in the box, we could argue, 2 or 3 other things went on that shouldn't have. But yeah, I think the Xhaka situation for me is more that throughout the season and the sendings off and the crucial little mistakes here and there, they're fine lines at this level, and the difference between us being 4th or 5th or 6th to 10th. I mean, if we turn 2 of those losses or draws into wins over the last few months, we'd be right up there. Harry, you want to say something, bro?
I just guess for me, it's I'm not denying that Granit Xhaka's made mistakes throughout his Arsenal career. That stat's been pulled out of the top drawer the last few days about 8 mistakes directly leading to goals. Before this weekend, when was the last one? I'm not having that the Leicester one was solely his fault, because that could have been stopped by how many people. But the point I'm trying to make is that Granit Xhaka, particularly in the last 3 or 4 months, has arguably been Arsenal's most important player. He plays every single game when he's available, and he's always available. He plays in the centre of that midfield. He's the first name on the team sheet. You hear it constantly from all the other players about how important he is to the team. You hear it constantly from the manager about what a leader he is and how he doesn't shy away from things. And I haven't got an issue with people criticising him for that mistake or other mistakes. What I've got an issue with is every time he makes one, the reaction to it is so overblown. And, there's people in the comments even saying, oh, but he told us to F off. If I was Granit Xhaka, I'd have told you all to F off as well. Because if I was in a football stadium surrounded by supposedly my own fans and I was receiving the abuse that he was receiving, you can't stand there frothing at the mouth swearing at people, calling them every name under the sun, and the minute they gesture back, you become a snowflake and you can't take it. You know, that's the point here. And Judge, we were at the game against Sheffield United away last season, if you remember. That was in the lead up to that incident happening. And if you remember, he got booed off when he got substituted in the second half. You remember? Our own fans. So
what annoys me about it, Harry, I had an argument on AFTV podcast about it yesterday when they said, Party, you know, apart from Party, Granit Xhaka don't get that. Well, 2 weeks before that, he was the one that put the ball in for Aubameyang to score. Slide rule pass, you know what I mean? Like, he has played well in the last few games. He really has. Like, you know, there's no two ways about it. But my argument is, and this is the argument with Granit Xhaka, and I you know, it's not nothing because I met the guy or whatever. Like, he is the best of what we got at the moment. People go, Partey is. Well, he hasn't been because Partey's been injured. You know what I mean? Like, Partey's still not even fully fit yet. So, you know, and that's why Granit Xhaka's playing week in, week out. And I do believe that if Arsenal are to go on and challenge for the titles, then Granit Xhaka is not going to be the main man in that team. He's not going to be the main man in that team.
You've hit the nail on the head. If we had a top-class midfielder sitting on the substitutes bench and Mikel Arteta was still picking Granit Xhaka ahead of him,
it's an issue.
I'd understand the frustration about it. But to get on someone's back who is, quite frankly, the best we've got, it's just counterproductive. It's counterproductive to give him the kind of abuse that makes him feel like... I thought he completely disappeared from the game after that mistake on the stroke of half-time on the weekend. And I thought that affected him mentally, not because he's not self-confident enough, but because he knew what was coming. And that was dogs abuse on social media from our own fans. He'd be the biggest talking point for the next week until we play again. And all of that energy that we're giving and that vibe that we're putting towards our own player, when quite frankly, we haven't got anybody else, it's just not helpful to me. That's why I take issue with it.
Yeah. Harry, 100% on that. Like, with regards to the abuse the players get, the fact that we go at players when we don't have anybody else. I mean, you're 100% right in the sense of he is the best of what we've got. And to be fair to the lad, the last 4 or 5 games, he's been winning me over with his performances. I'm not going to lie, he's not been my favourite player. If someone said to me, for example, do you want to swap him for Symeou at Brighton? I'll probably say, yeah, right? Just my opinion. It's all about opinions.
Yeah, exactly.
But technically, he's a good footballer. It's just, for me, I don't think the Premier League suits the way he plays. It's very fast. It's very physical.
I wholeheartedly agree with that, lad. Wholeheartedly agree with that. Yeah. I think even Harry would admit that. I think. Oh
yeah, of course. I've never said he's the best or there's no upgrades. It's just that's what we got.
If he could get around the park a lot quicker and all that, like. You know, he's not mobile enough for the Premier League. He's not mobile enough for a team that's going to go and win a title. Like, you know, that is a case. But I will say this: that even though he's not mobile, he's still a good player. He's still a good player. I mean, like, when I play, eventually your old legs go, and you're not quite as quick around the park. And that was it for me, like, do you know what I mean? But this is a guy that's not quick around the park, but can still, you know, earn a living playing Premier League football. The fact of the matter is, what Granit Xhaka is why Arsenal are where they are. And that's nothing to do with him. It's the way that it is. You know, Thomas Partey's coming. And I tend to disagree with a little bit of what Harry said there about Granit Xhaka. I think that Granit Xhaka went out of the game a little bit because Thomas Partey faded as well. Thomas Partey in that first half was outstanding.
Yeah.
But then because of fitness levels and all that, he faded. He faded and actually become a liability towards him, giving the ball away. But what I'm saying is, when Partey gets himself fit, Partey will become the best player in Arsenal's midfield. He's not at that level yet, and that's nothing to do about having a go at him. It's about his fitness. Once he's ups his fitness, I think him and Xhaka will do okay. It's no coincidence that since Partey's come back, Granit Xhaka's performances have picked up. So this is what I'm seeing. You know. But someone says in the chat, which is a great point. You know, like Granit Xhaka's made this mistake, and he's been. He'll be playing Thursday and Tottenham. He'll be playing in the games. Ceballos, yes, has made one mistake and left out the team. The fact of the matter is, the manager does not rate Ceballos like he does Granit Xhaka, and that is the truthful, brutal thing about it. You know, someone just saying there, I disagree that Xhaka is every. What have I just said? What have I just said? He's,
Lee, you know what's the interesting thing, Lee? When we signed Granit Xhaka, right? Arsenal needed a tough midfielder because we didn't have that sort of player in our midfield, and we went and we bought a guy from Germany who is the best tackler in the German league, and he was scoring.
Yeah,
Come again?
it's a slower game.
No, hold on, let me finish. And he was scoring goals because he was taking a lot of shots. He came to the Premier League. I remember on his first season, he got sent off twice. So they told him you need to stop the tackling, which was his strength. And then we told him don't take shots from outside because Arsenal don't take shots from outside the box. So we took two things that he was allegedly good at away from him. We left now with an average player.
So he got
in the Premier League.
Sinead, he got a fantastic goal against Chelsea from a free kick. Fantastic. Yeah. Did he get the credit he deserved for that free kick? No, people just said, "Oh well, like the goalkeeper was this on it's that." It's how it is. Listen, Granit Xhaka divides opinion, and it's black or white. There's no grey area with him. You know, I think personally, I'm in the grey area with him. I think that he's a decent player, but he's not quite good enough. But the people that go, no, he's crap or he's great. You know what I mean? There's no middle ground with him. And listen, and this is not something new at Arsenal. This has been there since Paul Davis. You can go back to players before that. You know what I mean? That they were given a lot of stick. People like, believe it or not, I was talking to a friend the other day. Alan Hudson got stick when he came to Arsenal. Alan Ball. World Cup winner. It's been there in Arsenal all the time. The fact of the matter is that Granit Xhaka isn't, I don't think, great on the eye, if I'll be honest, as a player. Like, you know what I mean? He's, you without being nasty to Granit Xhaka, like, back in the old days when we was kids, you're not going to go running on the pitch thinking you're Granit Xhaka.
Yeah.
You might run on there thinking you're Liam Brady, Charlie Nicholas, Charlie George,
Lee Judges.
Lee Judges, you know what I mean? Something like that, like, you know what I mean? Like Aaron.
If you're Swiss or Albanian, you might want to be Xhaka.
Well, yeah, but that's the sort of player that he's not one of these players that's great on the eye. If you know what I don't mean that nastily, like, good looking. Yeah. I'm not saying he ain't, but this is the thing, and this is why it's a little bit like that,
All right, listen. I mean, we don't want to labour this point too much. I'm conscious of time. We could be going on about this Xhaka thing with you and Harry all day long by the looks of it, and maybe we'll do a show just purely on it. Xhaka can or Xhaka can't or something like that. But anyway, so look, I agree with Lee. Look, social media wasn't so present at the time back in the days either. So we'd watch a game, you go and see someone have a bad game, you come back, you knew that person had a bad game. Maybe Match of the Day highlights will show it. You have a word with your mates in the pub, it was a bad game. But now everything's magnified. You see it, then it's on Twitter, and suddenly one mistake becomes far worse than anything before. Yeah. So I mean, I feel sorry for the lad. But look, his performances have been good. So let's hope that he carries that on to tomorrow, which is where I want to go with this. We've got a huge tie tomorrow in the Europa. We just about edged through against Benfica last week. Very much similar fashion to the game against Olympiacos last season, but with a better result, the Benfica game. Olympiacos, powerhouse of a team in Greece. Won the title, 18 times, Harry? I think it is, something like that.
That's more than that, man.
I think it's 18 the last I checked, mate, but you probably know better than me. And then I've looked at that squad, and they've got some decent players in there. I don't think it's as strong as last season. I saw the interview you had with Costas Leonis, I think it is, earlier on today. So, Harry, I'll start with you on this for obvious reasons. You can name all the players and all that stuff. Olympiacos, how do you think we're going to cope with it tomorrow? I mean, do you think they're a bit of a bogey side for us? I mean, looking at their stats, they've only really, at home in the Europa, won 2 of their last 11. At home in the final legs. So I'll leave that with you. How do you think they're going to do?
It's a difficult one to say because it's hard to know how much of a hangover we'll have from what happened last time around. And as much as you can sit there as a manager and say, we are on a different, we've progressed and we've forgotten all about it and we need to put it right. It's easier said than done, isn't it? What I'll give Olympiacos credit for is they're a really tactically smart side. In the last few years, they've they've managed to bring in a number of managers from different countries. Ernesto Valverde is probably where it started from. Ex-Barcelona manager, went there. Pedro Martins, Portuguese coach, has carried it on. And they're a lot more... They're not a Greek side anymore, if that makes sense, in their style of play. They're a European side. And they're very tactically organised. He's managed to do some really good recruitment. Defensively, when they sit with a low block, they're very hard to break down. I think that they will do that against Arsenal. I expect them to sit with a low block. Remember, the away goals rule is in place. So tomorrow, the priority for Olympiacos will be not to concede. But as they showed us last year, they've got forwards, people like Yusuf El Arabi up top, who, you know, if a chance comes his way, he's going to take it. And they've shown themselves to be really ruthless. They overcome PSV Eindhoven in the last round. Not many people gave them a hope of doing that. Yeah, and they did that. They've dropped out of the Champions League as well. So they were at Champions League level. So, you know, you're not talking about someone who just about scraped into the Europa League. They had a really difficult group, and they impressed against Manchester City, and now they're in the Europa League. And I'm a little bit worried about this tie. I do think Arsenal have what it takes. You know, a top Arsenal side, an informed Arsenal side blows them away. The problem is that we've shown that we can press that self-destruct button very easily this season, and make no mistake about it. If we do that again, if we gift opportunities, they're good enough and they're stubborn enough defensively to take those opportunities and then defend what they've got. I think we're at a bit of an advantage at the fact that there's no fans. Judges, you'd have been there at the home game.
Yeah,
I was at both legs last season, and the crowd is unreal. Yeah, how amazing is that support? And now at least we don't have to deal with that on top of everything else.
That's a good point. That is a fantastic point.
Well, I sit right next to the away fans. So, you know, where I come in, I had them going at it all evening.
And they don't stop. They don't stop.
And to be fair, I was right there when I was right in front of Aubameyang missing that last minute goal attempt as well. So, I mean, you know, I'm hoping the Benfica thing is kind of, in a way, relive that moment for us, because we were so close to going out again last week. This time, I think that will prepare us mentally for this leg, knowing that it happened with them last season as well. I mean, they've got some really, as I said, they've got some good players. Valbuena, he was played at Lyon with Lacazette. You got Jose Sá and Symeou, Portuguese, playing the Portuguese side with
Semeido's unavailable. He's their best centre back, but he's out for both legs. They've got Jan and Villa in the midfield, who we were linked with 100 times,
a million times. Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, they've got a decent side. So I mean, it is a concern. I mean, what Costa said as well in your interview that really, you know, hit home for me is we were sitting there during the draw saying, "Come on, give us an easy draw." But he rightfully said a lot of these teams that we see as easier draws have just knocked out a load of big teams, like Napoli, for example. You know, all these teams that we were expecting to go out haven't. So maybe there isn't any easy games anymore. I mean, teams seem to be improving across Europe. Lee, Olympiacos, what's your thoughts? What's your feelings for tomorrow?
I'm mixed. I've got to say that. A lot of people are saying it's going to be easy. Some people are saying it's going to be, you know, Arsenal are easy going to win it. I don't see it being an easy game. I think it's going to be a tough. I see it being a little bit like Benfica, going to go through the mill a little bit, like, you know. I think that we've got to come back with a positive result. I think Harry makes probably the best point of all, is that the fans, because I think that they made a massive difference at the home and the away game, you know, particularly at the Emirates. And I'm not having a knock at the Emirates and all that, like, you know, if you get so many fans like they did making that sort of noise, any away game's going to be like that. You know, we go to away games. If you go to, like, you know, Man United or someone like that, we always make more noise because that's the way that it is, because, you know, those away fans are in there. So not having them there is going to be, I think, quite a good thing. So I think that gives us a little bit more of an advantage, particularly at their place. I think also what gives us an advantage is we've just been there and played. So we know that, and I know you might think this is silly, but routine in football is a big thing, you know what I mean? Yep. So we would have done all of that, know exactly what we're doing. So, you know, I don't think, listen, without being, even though it was Benfica, we we've been given a pass. We should be out. You know what I mean? Like, when you go down to 2-1 like that, with 10, 15, 20 minutes to go, you've got to score 2 goals. Somehow we clawed it back. We've done well. So we've got an opportunity. And I don't think the draw, it could have been a lot worse for us, but it could have been slightly better. I also think that, Man United I'd rather be playing Olympiacos than Man United or AC Milan, if I'll be honest. So from that point of view, we've got to look at it as a positive. And I don't care what we say about Olympiacos, right? Whatever you want to say, good or bad about them, I will put a lot of money down that they are not winning this competition. They will not win it. So, like last season, beat us, went out to Wolves. If we was to go out against these, they're not going to go and win it. So I expect Arsenal to somehow get through with it. I don't think it'd be as easy as what it is. There's bigger and better teams than Olympiacos in this competition. And if you're wanting to win this competition, you've got to go out there and take these teams to the sword. Not take them lightly. Maybe Napoli took, I can't remember who they played now. Did they play? Was it Antwerp? I can't remember who they played.
Young Boys? Was it Young Boys that done Napoli?
Yeah, but they took it lightly. You know what I mean? So we can't afford to take it lightly. We've got to be on our game. I don't think it's a bad thing if we come back with a draw like we did last time and then make sure that we put them to the sword at the Emirates. But what the key is, taking our chances.
Good points, Lee. So now we're going to cross over to the man with the Godfather-like aura, apparently.
Don't mess with him.
Hey, Harry, what do you think, Sheen?
No, you're not Harry.
Grenada. Played that. That's who they played, yeah.
Grenada.
On the chat. Thank you.
I was going to say, what worries me about Arsenal tomorrow is that we could go there and we could concede a goal within the first 5 minutes, something silly. And we've got that in us, and nobody will be surprised. Also, we can go out there and put a decent performance. The mistake is what worried me. So that's what I was going to say Harry covered. And Lee covered another point I was going to make, that if there is talk of us winning this competition, if we've got a chance of winning this competition, we've got to go and win tomorrow and win comfortably. Because, Olympiacos is not the hardest team that we could have got. There's not much difficult teams out there that we could potentially get next round as well. And if we are wobbly over Olympiacos away at home, then the further we go in the competition, the more difficult teams we're going to get. And how are we going to deal with that? We should go out there and win it. We should. If you put on paper, we're stronger than them. But you never know with Arsenal.
I think you hit the nail on the head here, guys. I think a lot of it's going to depend on what sides Arteta puts out, right? Because he's got a juggling act right now, hasn't he? He's got a big game, London Derby on the weekend, only a couple of days in between. He's got to think about rest periods. He's got to think about travel. There's the concern for me is not if we put out our strongest side, whether we could beat Olympiacos, because in my mind, I think we will. However, my concern is if he decides to play this juggling act, thinking with the London Derby in mind, because let's be honest, we're not going to have it as fans if we lose that this time around. What do you think he's going to do? And yeah, thank you, Why Not Sentiment. Please smash those likes, subscribe if you haven't. Guys, going back to it, what do you think he's going to do? Harry, Lee, I'll start with you, Harry. What team do you see him putting out tomorrow? And what do you see him doing for those two very close games back to back?
I think he's just, he basically said it in his press conference today. He goes, this is the priority, this is the main game. I think that, as much as we don't want to lose the North London Derby, and I hate to say this, but if you said to me, would I rather progress through this round in the Europa League or lose the North London Derby, I would take the progression. I know it's horrible to say. I know it's not, it's horrible to say because, but that could shape our, that's the difference between our season potentially being a success or a failure. And winning the North London Derby, as great as it is to give us bragging rights, it ain't going to make the world of difference in our pursuit of the Champions League, is it? So that's kind of the angle I'm coming at. In terms of the team, I think he'll go as strong as possible. I think it'll be Leno in goal. I think it will be Bellerin. I think it will be David Luiz.
Go Bellerin over Cedric, you think?
I still think in Mikel Arteta's mind, Bellerin is still the first choice right back. And I'm trying to guess what he's going to do. So I'm going to go Bellerin. I'm going to go Luis. I'm going to say Pablo Marie alongside him because he hasn't done anything wrong to be out the side. Tierney at left back. Midfield will be Xhaka and Partey for me. There's no doubt about that. Ahead of them, I'll probably say Odegaard's going to play because Emile Smith-Rowe's still touch and go. I think that Saka will play on the right. Aubameyang will play through the middle. And surprisingly, I probably think that Willian might play on the left-hand side. Again, this is not what I would do, so I don't want to get battered for saying it. But, I wouldn't be surprised if Willian played, one of him or Pepe on the left-hand side. But I think we'll be as full strength as we possibly can be because this game is huge.
That's fine, bro. I mean, you can name whatever side you want. No one gets battered in here, bro. We all have our opinions. We're not going to agree with each other all the time. Lee, do you agree with much of what Harry's saying with regards to the lineup?
Totally agree with it. And this is where my problem lies with Mikel Arteta. And this is what I was talking about yesterday. And I was talking about it. We have got this massive game. We've got two-player. I think that, listen, Willian's done well in the last couple of games. There's no two ways about it. But so's Pepe. Pepe's come on and done really, really well. If Willian comes in front of Pepe in these next two games, and so, for instance, we play Olympiacos and he plays Willian and we win, fine. If he then plays Tottenham and he plays Willian and we win, fine. But I'm telling you, if we lose one of those two games with Willian playing, I'm going to lose it with Arteta because at the end of the day, Pepe has been playing really, really well. I thought he come on the other day against Burnley, lightened up things and everything like that. And I think that somewhere along the line, I can tell you this now, Martinelli's not playing any of these two games, but Willian is. One of these games, Willian is playing. Whether it be this one or the next one, he is playing in one of these two games. He will start in one of these two games.
He's stirring it up again, Lee, are you, mate? Yeah?
Oh, well,
I've been hearing Martinelli's coming.
I personally think, whether you agree with it or not, and we've had this argument before, Cedric's done nothing wrong at right back, but for some unknown reason, Bellerin plays in front of him, and I totally agree with Harry. It's not what I would do, but it's what we think Mikel Arteta is going to do. Bellerin's going to start. There's no two ways about it. Tierney on the left-hand side. I think that maybe this is what's a little bit is a little bit strange for me. Gabriel has been a little bit iffy in the last few games. So as Harry just said there, he feels that Mari's going to come in. I feel that's going to happen as well. So if you can do it with Mari, why can't he do it with Bellerin? Because that's the same scenario on the right back situation, but he doesn't. So this is one of the reasons that I'm a little bit weary of Mikel Arteta at this moment in time. When it comes to up front, I agree with the Partey and Xhaka. I think Odegaard will play because Smith-Rowe isn't quite fit enough. If he was fit enough, I still think this man has saved him his job, but he still won't put him in there, and that would be Smith-Rowe, because what's he done? He's put Smith-Rowe out to the left-hand side at times, you know what I mean, in a couple of games. I don't think they'll do this on this game. I think it should be Pepe, and let's go there and try and do it. But do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Smith-Rowe is fit and he thinks, well, he can do a little bit more defensive side of the game over Bellerin and even over Willian. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's fit that he would play that way. But I want to see us going there with Pep. And then on Sunday, I still think that he should go with the three. I tell you what, lads, I'm going to say something now. I wouldn't be surprised if Lacazette starts up down the middle and Aubameyang on the left on Thursday. But if he does, then Aubameyang will be down the middle, and we will see Willie coming back on Sunday. He'll be getting his Willie out in the next 2 games.
All right. Listen, I told you before, Lee. They're other channels, yeah, not here.
Sorry,
I keep telling you about these Willie comments and stuff like that. Shaheen, I'll come over to you very quickly, and then if you could, because it's your first day back, yeah. If you could give out your shouts and all that to some of the guys in the chat, because
I was actually
they've been asking for you while you've been away.
I was actually going to say this before you asked me to say. If you guys are new here, please subscribe to our channel, Arsenal Lounge. We appreciate your time for watching us. Subscribe to Harry, the Chronicle of a Bruna.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, he does very interesting content there. Harry is a football journalist himself, so tune in. He does daily shows, so
Full time with 90 minutes now as well, Harry. Full time with 90 minutes. Let's not
Thank you,
forget
man.
that.
Thank you, man.
We judges, obviously, on Twitter, it doesn't need introduction to anybody.
He's a
Follow him.
celeb.
Yeah. So
He just turns up
give
whenever
these
he
guys
wants,
a
doesn't he?
follow, please, and obviously subscribe to our channel, subscribe to Harry's channel, follow Lee. We all appreciate your time watching us and giving us your time this evening. You can ask me a question.
While Harry's enjoying his Meduxa and Coke there, I'm sure there's some whiskey in there.
How did you know, man? How did you know?
Yeah, I know about those drinks. But Shaheen, very quickly, you heard what these guys were saying about tomorrow's game. What do you think? Do you think they're saying?
I also think is more important than North London Derby, unfortunately, because there could be a trophy at the end of this competition. Also, could be a route to Champions League, because I don't think we'll finish in top 4. So he's got to go strong tomorrow. And then North London Derby, it's all about fans and bragging rights, and players need to understand that. So if you've been playing in a game and you've got the North London Derby coming out, that should be on its own a motivation and an energy booster for you to go out there and win for your fans. But he's got to go for a strong team tomorrow. I actually agree with Lee on this one with regards to Martinelli. Every time he's come in, he's done well. I remember when he scored that goal against Chelsea. And after that, he got injured, and then so on. So he's come back every time, scored goals, but then he just does not get games. I would expect him to come in sometimes the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If he's coming back from an injury, that's how you bring somebody back. That's how you ease them back in. But just does not get games, period. Which is questionable, I must say. That does the manager not rate him? Is he not good enough? Is he not putting in shifts in the training pitch? It would be a good game for him to start tomorrow. If he had got games, I wouldn't start him tomorrow because it's an important game and he needs to be strong. But if you're going to rotate with the team for times like this, bringing Martinelli would be great. Pepe, I don't understand why he doesn't get games.
See, I don't think it's an issue with Martinelli not being rated. He's touted. He's been rating him for months since he started playing. He's been raving about him. Some are saying potentially protecting him. We've had a history of messing up youngsters pretty early. We did it with the likes of Wilshire's and Ramsey's and bringing them back too soon, perhaps. And some others are suggesting it's because we're preparing him to play up front and he's taking his time with him. I don't really know, but I don't think it's an issue with regards to his talent. I'm conscious of time because I know Harry's. I think you got something at 7:30, haven't you, Harry? So
I can go a few minutes over, man. I can get away with a few minutes over. Don't worry.
I love that, Harry. All right, so then let's just move this on then very quickly. We've got the London Derby, and I just wanted to touch on a few things I've been seeing in the news as well. So let's do news things first, and we'll finish with the London Derby and with prediction. So Arteta's come out. I think it was on Sky today. He reckons he's asking his team for 5 back-to-back wins. That's something he's set for them. So, I mean, what do you think he's going to do in order? How can you guarantee that? And also on top of that, the transfer targets we've been hearing with the Lampteys and the Hakims and the Basumas. So very quickly, we'll touch on it. 5 wins. Is it realistic to ask that from his current team and the type of players and profiles that you've been seeing linked in the papers, etc.? Are you happy with? I'll start this off with Harry.
5 wins is realistic because if we cut out the stupid errors, we could have had 5 wins. So the margins are very small. And the thing you got to take encouragement from, and I know Mikel Arteta said this earlier, but I've said it previously. You should take some encouragement from the fact that we're not going up against teams and being unable to live with them. The problems are our own problems, and at least you have the power to fix those. So, 5 wins is possible. It's going to be difficult, but it's possible. In terms of the players we've been linked with, we're Arsenal Football Club and we get linked with tons of players every single season. I think as much as Arsenal are sitting there telling everybody that they've planned their transfer window already, I think our transfer window is hugely dependent on whether we get European football next season. Because as much as we don't necessarily want to be in the Europa League, because we say that it messes up our schedule and all of that, financially it's very, very important. And to go from having Champions League revenue, seeing that drop down to Europa League revenue, and then to nothing at a time like this especially, it will have a massive impact. So I think that the transfer window and those links are solely dependent on whether or not we get into Europe. If not, we're going to have to go back to the drawing board and we're going to have to get creative.
Also dependent on outgoings as well, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
The likes of your Bellerins and a few others we're touted. Lee, you've heard what Harry's saying. Very, very quickly, 5 back-to-back wins with the type of games we've got coming up. We've got some seriously difficult games coming up. It's not going to be easy. And also transfer news with the Lampteys. And I mean, Lamptey's a bit injury prone. He's already out with injury.
I think that I like that. I like that the manager's setting out the task of saying it. He's been obviously watching what I've been saying. Like, he's obviously following me, Mikel, because I've been saying that. 5 wins. It's something you've got to set out to do. And if these players can't do, or this team can't do 5 wins, then he's got to get another team that can. It's as simple as that, because if you want to win titles, you want to win leagues. Manchester City have gone on 21 consecutive, or 21 game winning streak.
Yeah.
And we've got that's what you've got to compete with. That's what it's no good saying, oh, we can't do 5. It's like, when you're playing on the beach football, with the kid, you've got to keep the uppies. Like, it's no getting 5, is it? You've got to be in the hundreds to be the winners. And this is what you've got to do. You've got to set your goal. And 5, I'm afraid, is not really what. It's not going to take you to the promised land. But this is what we've got to set ourselves. If they can do 5, then can they make it 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? But as people are saying, we can't beat Burnley. We can't do this and do that. So them games are gone. Let's see if he can get 5 wins on the spin. I don't think that he will. He might go 5 unbeaten. But 5 wins on the spin. This team hasn't got the mentality for that. And what I'm going to say this now as the manager, because the manager's got to be able to demand that and make sure that his players do that. And that is an interesting thing. When you win titles and winning leagues, you have to win at least 5 games on the spin, go 10 games unbeaten, and then. We had a little bit. Listen, I think we had a little bit of a setback against Burnley, which is, when you look at it, I felt like it was a defeat. So we're going in the right direction. So we drew the game, So
think of it this way, though, Judge. Think of it this way, and I've been saying this all week. Had Arsenal gone and got a point at Leicester and then gone and won at Burnley, everybody would be pretty pleased with that. And
that's what you expect. This is the problem, though, Harry, isn't it? This is the problem with Arsenal at the moment. The hope kills you. You go to Leicester, put in a fantastic performance, and it was a fantastic performance, by the way. It was like top class. And then you expect us then to go and beat Burnley, and we don't. And that's when fans like myself probably get let down a little bit. And but you're dead right. If we'd have beaten, if we'd have lost or drawn to Leicester and then gone and beat Burnley, expectations weren't there. But we're Arsenal Football Club now, and I want our expectations to be lifted. I want us to be like, I want us to go, when you look at it, I think it's Olympiacos, Tottenham, Olympiacos, West Ham, and is it Liverpool? Our next 5 games. Let's win them all. Let's win all those 5 games. And then I can turn around and say, do you know what, Mikel, you're making progress. I'm coming off the fence and I'm going to stick up for you. But at this moment, I'm firmly on the fence.
I'm visualizing you actually speaking to Mikel like that. I was just that is something else. Can you imagine judges walking into, oi, listen hear you? I just love that. But very, very quickly, do you know, you touched on something, Harry, right? With regards to, there's fine lines. We win a couple of the games we should have drawn or lost, and suddenly we're up there on the table. This season is unprecedented. We're playing back-to-back games like NFL seasons. There's a lot more injuries, a lot more away wins than there's ever been. And I just think we're suffering for that poor start earlier on in the season. But there's a stat for you. Last season, VAR, right? I looked at the overturned decisions and all of that, and things that went for you and against you. Last season, out of the VAR decisions we got -1 point. So we didn't make anything out of VAR last season, yeah? This season, we are 3rd from bottom when it comes to VAR with -5 points in regards to overturned decisions and all of that. So is it unlucky? Is there something going on? I mean, it's been going on for seasons.
It's part of it, and people shouldn't completely dismiss that when they're judging Mikel. It's not everything. It's not the be-all and end-all. It's not the only reason that we're where we are. But if you look at the Premier League table now, and you look at Chelsea, who are on they're on 50 points. We're on 38. If you give us 5 points, we're a lot closer to the top 4. Plus, we've got a game in hand. Then all of a sudden, we're like we're in there. We're in there with a shout. I'm not saying that we can, come the end of the season, we're going to look back and blame it all on VAR, but you can't dismiss that. You can't completely sweep that under the carpet and pretend it's not a thing, because it is a thing. And you mentioned that the season is very difficult this time around. You only need to look at what's happened to Liverpool and how, they've collapsed off the back of some injuries, because it's really taken a toll on the squad. And there's no coincidence that the team who are running away with the Premier League are the ones with the deepest pockets and the deepest squad.
Ooh, controversial. Okay, look, we've got a super chat in. Shaheen, would you like to read this from Alexander Klapov?
Yeah, I just wish we would get the mistakes out of our game. This would give a good boost to the team. You could see Oba was upset after Xhaka's mistake. Yeah,
Fair enough.
I think Xhaka was upset as well.
Okay, we'll move.
I just want to think what Lee said earlier. In order for us to go on a 5-game win, you need to be able to back up your previous performances. You can't go to Leicester and put a performance like that and then go and perform against Burnley. So that is the problem that would make me think, no, we can't go on a 5-game unbeaten run, because we've got that mistake in us, unfortunately, whether it's Luiz, whether it's Xhaka, whether it's Bellerin or somebody else. You have to be able to back up your performances. A restaurateur is always told your reputation is as good as your last plate that came out of the kitchen. And for us, it's the same thing. Your last performance was against Burnley, a game that we dominated, but we couldn't finish our dinner. And it feels like a loss here, rightly, because we dominated the game. Burnley can't score to save their lives, but somehow they get a draw against us. Liverpool is really struggling right now. They're going to come to Emirates. We should be able to put them away.
Last season's Liverpool turn.
Liverpool's struggling at home. Let's just get that right. They're struggling at home. They're not struggling away from home. They've gone and beat Southampton. They've gone and beat Spurs.
I don't feel comfortable now with them coming to Arsenal. I think, we can go out, and if we score first, their mind will start going.
I'd fancy to beat Liverpool at home, but they were struggling when they went to Spurs a few weeks ago, and I mean struggling. They was in turmoil, and they somehow turned that around. So I don't think that's a fit. I'm just going to go back onto the VAR thing. I don't care what 5 points, 1 point there. The Spurs fan in there saying that they get the -12. I don't care. The fact of the matter is that if they're getting them wrong, with you -12 or -1, that decision on Saturday was wrong. It's a stonewall penalty. Now, if that gets given, we get 3 points. Forget about all the misses and everything like that. That is the facts. But the fact of the matter is, for whatever reason, it wasn't given. And for the life of me, I don't understand why. And then the other decision with the shoulder and the sending off is the correct decision. I've got no arguments with that. That was VAR at its best. It done it right. Unfortunately, it's against us, but there you go. That's what it's there for. But that handball, what annoys me about that handball is that referee, Kevin Friend, had done that. I then sitting there on Sunday, and there he is running out for the Liverpool game. For me, I turned it off. I said, I can't be having that. He shouldn't even be nowhere near it. But this is the thing, and it will cost us. It'll cost us again. I don't see any other team, and I mean this, any other team scoring a legit goal and it being chalked off like we did at Crystal Palace against Crystal Palace last season. I've not seen
proximity. Has that ever been used all season? Proximity as an excuse.
No. They tried to make excuses
come out of nowhere. Proximity.
Yeah,
the guy's arm was out.
Yeah, it's total rubbish. They even try to cover it up, and that is the problem. So, but we have to deal with that. That is part of it. But it is still a big key in my mind. Yes, Granit Xhaka messed up. Yes, we should have took the chances. And yes, VAR should be doing its job properly. It didn't.
I can't believe 2 professional referees looked at that handball and they won in the VAR thing and thought that this is actually not a handball. And that referee, if there was any doubt and everybody reported, he should have gone. There's a monitor on the side of the pitch for these things. What's the point of having that monitor on the side of the pitch if no one's going to use it? Wow. And I think that is Everybody, all the pundits, everybody said that is a penalty. So they need to be looking at the guy at VAR, who's a professional referee, who looked at this and decided that is not a, and that's the game, that's a guy, sorry, that probably going to referee a Premier League next week. And then we all wonder why we've got such a poor referee standard. It's just frustration, it's so clear, but somehow we're not getting it.
Well, guys, I am a little concerned for Harry's time because this is like his first show with us. I don't want to keep him too long. So very, very quickly, we got Spurs. That's the next game as well. What do you see happening? And I want a prediction from you guys and anyone in the chats before we go. So I'll start with Harry. So if he needs to run off at any time to grab a kebab like I do, I'm starving. Anything.
I've got to work, man. I wish I was grabbing a kebab, man.
I'll send you something. Rasagis. Let me know and I'll send you a Rasagis.
That's the one. Man. That's the one.
Harry, no, he's very good at ruining people's Sundays with the pictures he put on Twitter. Some serious business, serious girls going on in his backyard, and it's just really he affects me, because I don't have garden, Harry.
Come round, man. Don't worry, I'll sort it out. We'll have a barbecue.
You're gonna regret saying that. It'll be at your door next week.
I love them kebabs, left kebabs for it.
That's it, man. Looking at the Spurs game, it's going to be a tough game. It always is against them nowadays.
And moment, aren't they?
Yeah, and Bale and Kane are starting to click. And a few weeks ago, I was looking at Gareth Bale and thinking, what on earth did they go and sign him again for, and spend all that money to bring him in on loan? But he's clicked into gear, and that's obviously a concern. Let's not forget that Spurs, they've got a game as well midweek. Yep. You can't write that off. I know that they don't have the journey that we've got, but obviously they do have a game as well. And for Jose Mourinho, as much as he'll be trying to get in the top four, we know that he was brought into Spurs to win a trophy, and I think he will prioritise winning a trophy as well. The luxury he's got is he's got a side in the draw that he could probably get through, even sort of at half pace, even having left a couple of players out. So I think they got an easier draw than us, and that helps. But look, there's no reason to feel that Arsenal can't go and beat Spurs. If we can put in the type of performance that we've put in the first half an hour at Burnley, in the 90 minutes at Leicester, and in some of the games recently, then you take encouragement from that. But it's what Shaheem mentioned earlier on. There's always that fear at the moment of self-destruction. And I can't get away from that at the moment, because I go into every game nervous, not because I think we're going to get played off the park, because I think we're going to make a balls up somewhere along the line. And that's the big concern. And obviously when it happens against that lot, it hurts that much more. I'm going to sit on the fence and go with a draw. I'm going to go with a low scoring draw, because I think both sides are focused on trophies, are focused on the Europa League probably. And I think that neither manager will want to lose that game, and will obviously have the second leg of their Europa ties on their mind. So I'm going to go for a low scoring draw on that one.
Thank you on that, Harry. And very quickly, can you translate this?
It's a song. It's an Olympiacos song that the fans
is it really?
Yeah,
You could just say that. We wouldn't know any different. Yeah,
no, it is.
They're probably slating us off, aren't they? Okay, so Harry's gone for a draw. Lee.
Yeah, I'm on that camp as well. Probably a draw. Spurs 2 points off of it. Speaking to my West Ham mate today, and he come up with a great point. He said, "Yep, Spurs have played they've won 3 games on the spin. Fulham at home. Who else is at home? Burnley at home, and away to someone. I can't even.
Palace. They beat Palace 4-1, didn't they, recently?
Palace, Fulham." Yeah, Fulham away, when it Palace and Burnley, when they played the mighty West Ham, they lost and deservedly so. That was his words, you know what I mean? So when they play a decent team, they get beaten. So I don't really go too much into their form in the last few games. Before that, they were awful. I think the one thing that Spurs have a favour, which people don't realise, is that they was meant to be going away in Croatia on Thursday. That's been changed. So now they're at home, so they haven't got to travel. They're on we've got a late kickoff, then we've got to travel. So all of that takes its toll. And so I think that, Spurs at this moment in time, I know Harry just said about Captain, they're 2 points off of top 4, or were. Is that changed? It might have changed. I don't really. I know that all my Spurs mates were saying two points off the top 4. So when they give me a bit of stick, I tend to believe it. So they're looking to still get into the Champions League via the league spots. So it'd be a difficult game. But I do think that we're at home, and I think that we're, this is the thing now. I think most Arsenal fans will say, yeah, we'll take a draw, and that's how low our standards have dropped. You know what I mean? Like over the last 10 years, because Spurs were just a hindrance, weren't they, to us at one stage in our lives? They're not no more. You know what I mean? And that's a little bit from them point of view. They've pulled their socks up. I have to say that, but also Arsenal standards have dropped, and so we need to pick up and all that. But as that, do you know what? You can't really put. I'm going to say you can't. I'm not going to predict this bloody game until after Thursday, because if we win 3-0 tomorrow and we can take a few players off, then that game Sunday changes a little bit, because we could perhaps rest a few players in the follow-up game. So, but I'm expecting a tough game for us tomorrow. Them not so tough. So I think Harry Kane, for instance, will be on the bench tomorrow for them. I don't think we can afford to put Aubameyang on the bench tomorrow. That's what I'm saying. So I think there'd be 2 tough games. So I'm going to go a draw.
So basically, after that long-winded explanation, you sat on the fence.
I sat on the fence again.
Cheers for that. You could have just said that. Shaheen, ignore what Yanis is saying about you, Shaheen. I could read that. Just ignore it.
It's bang out of order, that, isn't it, Harry?
It's not true. It's not.
He's actually talking about me. He's actually talking about me.
I know he is, Harry. I can see you smirking in there, having a little private Greek conversation. I'll get my Turkish mates on here next week messaging me. Shaheen, any predictions apart from Kane?
No, I think we'll win on Thursday, and I think we'll draw against Tottenham.
Okay.
I think Mourinho is going to come and defend and hit us on an attack. He's clever enough to know that we've got capability of making those sort of mistakes. So he will come, he will sit back, and he's got players who will take their chances if and when it comes. So I'll go for a draw. I agree with Harry. I don't think anybody would want to lose that game. So it's going to be probably a 1-1 draw.
A few Spurs fans in here as well that I haven't mentioned. The guy calls himself Ben Davies Lee. He's suggesting they're going to win. I don't know what they're doing here. I would never be on a Spurs.
Good. That's nice to pick up their team.
You're welcome to come on and talk about football, but you wouldn't catch me on a Spurs podcast.
They're happy to pick up their team. Then if we beat them, and they go back in their role again, won't they?
See them
we shall see.
Yeah, absolutely. So
no interest in Spurs whatsoever. Just want to say that, and that's why I don't want to go. But they obviously got a little bit of interest in the Gunners, haven't they? You know what I mean?
Oh, always, man. We're their benchmark. They've always been like that. Forever in our shadow.
We're basically currently in our worst form, but we're still winning more trophies than their golden era. Let's just look at it that way. So, guys, it's been brilliant. I don't want to keep you much longer. I know we've all got things to do. But listen, I mean, everyone in the chat, Aslan.
I've got some fence painting to do. I've got to paint the old fence.
Well, I'm not sitting on no fence at the moment with my lockdown pounds. I don't think it could take it. But why not? I'll do pick out one person from the chat every week. And I'm going to look at Why Not's picture here. Let's look at that. He looks like someone from Jersey Shore. And he's got some sort of bed sort of.
It's Jack Grealish.
Is that Jack Grealish?
It's that picture that was going around of Jack Grealish with that woman. Do you remember?
Oh, see, I can't see that. There you go. So thanks for clearing that up. There's another reason we got Harry on. He's got better eyesight than me. So, guys, it's been really enjoyable. I've really loved having you guys on. Harry, if you haven't subscribed to Harry's channel, Chronicles Laguna is one of my favorite channels. Great content. He also is now working for 90 Minutes full time. This guy here, he's serious about his journalism. This is why I've got a lot of time for Harry.
Thank you, man.
He's taking it serious. He's really he's left a very lucrative position to go and pursue his goals. So support the guy. Chronicles of Laguna. Subscribe if you haven't already, and please like and subscribe and share and all that sort of shenanigans. So Harry,
thank you so much, man.
Brother. Yeah,
no, it's been great fun, man. Love it. Thank you so much, man.
No, anytime. You can come on anytime, and maybe one day we'll get on Chronicles of Laguna. Who knows?
Of course, man.
Yeah, man. Anytime. Lee, what are you doing there? You all right?
Yeah, I'm just looking. So I never get invited on Chronicles of Laguna. You know what I mean?
No. Let's be fair.
Why now? I can see why now after today. You've been winding him up all day.
Yeah,
I was actually looking back today at at sort of how many episodes there's been. And normally I do them during the day, right, when people are at work, which is why I do a lot of them solo, because I don't know when I'm going to do them. It's when I get a gap and I do them. But Judges was actually my first ever guest on the first ever Chronicles.
And have I been on there ever since?
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. I'm going to send you some links afterwards.
Yeah, if you've got a video with a full mop of hair or something, that'd be amazing. I'd love to see that.
You were a lot younger, but you have been on
there. Well, you know what? Maybe that's a little hint to get him back on, Harry. And Lee,
no, just for me, no.
Brilliant having you on as well, Lee.
No worries,
love having you on. I love watching you on the watch-alongs. You give me a lot of laughs, so I'll be keeping an eye out for that. And obviously, if you guys follow Lee on Twitter, watch him on AFTV. He's great to watch, and he has a lot of banter. So, mate, thank you.
Don's not a fan, by the way. Obviously, like that man, Don, he's not a fan.
Because you're an arsehole, Lee. Oh, yeah. Well,
cheers,
I saw Shaheen typing while that came up. And finally, Shaheen, I'm so happy to have you back, man. This is why I saved you to last. Look, all these big names, and I saved you to last. Pablo, it's been great having you back. Still looking like you're in your prison, but that's what I like. I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, so hopefully you'll be here next week. So, guys, please follow, subscribe, like, and keep an eye out. Put your notifications on. We've got more coming up. It's a big thank you from me for watching tonight, and a big thank you to everybody else. I'm Lavanja. It's been the Arsenal Lounge, and we're saying good evening.